So with Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind coming to Epcot within the next 2 years or so, I think it's about time we dive into an all-extensive update with everything that we know so far about this attraction up next. Hi there Waltineers, I'm Jack and this is of course DSNY Newscast, and as every YouTuber says, be sure to go ahead and subscribe down below, hit the notification bell, and you know what? That's all out the way now, let's just get straight into the video. As at D23 Expo in August of 2019, it was announced that Epcot would be undergoing a multi-year transformation. And despite plans having to be scaled back because of the economic ramifications of the pandemic, with the indefinite postponement of the Mary Poppins attraction, a delay to the planned Spaceship Earth revamp, and an overall revision and reassessment of the World Celebration layout, the one project that is still progressing unaffected, full steam ahead, is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. And there is a very good reason for this, as not only will this be the first ever roller coaster in Epcot's nearly 40-year history, which is pretty notable in itself considering many roller coaster proposals have been discussed throughout the years, but more importantly, this will also be the first ever Marvel-themed attraction to open at Walt Disney World. And inevitably, it's going to draw comparisons to the Marvel-themed offerings found just a few miles away within Superhero Island at Universal Studios. So needless to say, the expectations for this attraction are going to be incredibly high, and so too is its budget. As according to sources familiar with the matter, this attraction project, when finished, will have a cost between $400 to $450 million to construct, which makes it one of, if not the most expensive attraction Disney has ever created. So with all of that expense and expectations, it's clear that Disney is betting big on the marketability of Cosmic Rewind to be a massive draw to help breathe new life into the park, with it being central, alongside Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and Disney's Harmonious, to fulfill the new mission statement to make Epcot more timeless, more family friendly, and yes, more Disney. Now whether you tend to agree or disagree with this new direction for Epcot, which personally I'm still a little bit undecided, it's undeniable that Cosmic Rewind is going to be incredibly important. But you see, what's so seemingly odd is just how relatively scarce the marketing and hype has been for this attraction. As with Disney spending so much money on this ride, you'd think that it would be heavily touted with many developmental updates, such as Galaxy's Edge and Avengers Campus has been on Disney Parks' blog. But instead there's only been 5 standalone articles on this attraction over its 3.5 years of construction. So here's a quick refresher about the backstory and concept for the roller coaster, starting with the name itself, Cosmic Rewind, which alludes to some sort of time-travelling antics, as the former Energy Pavilion is being transformed into the Xandarian Outpost as part of the Xandar Outreach Program, as the backstory here is that it's the first other-world pavilion within Epcot, operated by the Nova Corps to represent the planet and people of Xandar, that was featured in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. And so the purpose of this pavilion is to share the treasures of their planet and explore the similarities and mysteries of the formation of both Earth's galaxy and Xandar's inside the Galaxarium, which is to be a planetarium-like exhibition that showcases the wonders of the cosmos. But then, the Guardians of the Galaxy make a surprise visit, and through some sort of mix-up, we end up rocketing back through time and space, all the way to the beginning of the Big Bang, through the use of the Universal Neural Teleportation Network that are these hexagonal jump points that was seen in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And in addition to that, Peter Quill also apparently visited Epcot when he was a young boy. So there is room for the attraction to feature nods to the history of Epcot, with perhaps even a Stupid Judy reference from Ellen's Energy Adventure. So that's the premise behind the attraction, but now let's talk about the technology that will be used in this roller coaster, as this attraction will feature a new innovation for Imagineering, that they're calling an Omni-Coaster ride system, which is similar to the Omnimover system found within the Haunted Mansion, as each of these vehicles, themed to the Nova Corps Star Blaster on top of the roller coaster train, will be able to rotate 360 degrees. But instead of it being a spinning roller coaster design like Crush's Coaster coaster or primeval whirl, where the rotation is uncontrollable and is caused through weight and gravity. This omni-coaster system allows for Imagineering to have complete motorized control over the forward-facing direction of the vehicles, focusing you on the action, much like an Omnimover. But it does go beyond that, as this coaster is going to break with tradition and will be Disney's first ever storytelling roller coaster, which means that it's going to put more focus on the storytelling component with show scenes and action-packed segments throughout the attraction by varying the speed of the roller coaster and directing the guest's focus toward key show elements, similar to that of Escape from Gringotts at Universal Studios. And despite Cosmic Rewind not said to feature any loops or inversions, it will still be a uniquely thrilling experience, with Disney's first ever reverse launch for a roller coaster that will then transition into absolutely tons of high-banked turns and spirals, and fake-out switchbacks and turnarounds as well. And although it will be a family-friendly roller coaster, it will still be able to deliver the same amount of thrill as Big Thunder Mountain or even Expedition Everest. And in addition to all of this, if you're expecting this to be another roller coaster in the dark like Space Mountain, then think again. As I previously reported on these permits back in April of 2019 for the installation of show set elements by Spitz Inc., which is a manufacturer of massive planetarium projection domes and screens, which will not only be used for the Galaxarium in the queue area, but also the interior of the main show building as well, as this will house many screen components all the way around the track to create the effect of time jumping through space, just like we can see within the concept art, whilst also keeping the immersion intact. So at this point so far, we've talked about the backstory and the technology, but then that brings us to the construction progress, and there's been quite a lot to talk about. As ever since this gargantuan show building began to arise on the skyline of Epcot in 2018, we've received relatively little insight about the inside of the show building, or at least that was the case up until November of 2020, when Disney revealed this first glimpse inside the absolutely ginormous show building, or what I've come to nickname as Square Ship Earth. But as we can see here in this image, there are already some show components installed in this portion of the building. As down in the far corner, we can see the same hexagonal universal teleportation network pattern, encompassing what is either the entry or exit into the building. There is a themed enclosed tunnel section that might be for a secondary launch. And then on the far side of the image, over here, we can see what seems to be a large projection screen. But of course, we don't know when this photo was taken, and so most likely this was early on, and most of the elements have not yet been installed. And the other thing about this attraction is that we also know that certain media elements will come to life as you go by them on the roller coaster, as this omni-coaster setup means that Imagineering can have you continuously facing the show components to keep you fully immersed rather than seeing other parts of the roller coaster track. However, another promising sign that the construction is progressing as planned is that the push and pull testing has already started, although considering that Disney has stated that this will be one of the longest indoor roller coasters in the world, it's going to take quite a while to complete all forms of testing, and that's not just for push and pull testing like we see in this photo, but also the full test runs of the attraction later on in the project. But that isn't to say that we haven't got other parts of visible construction, as we can see here that this will be where the life-size Xandarian Star Blaster ship will be installed in the courtyard just in front. Then in January 2020 we got this glimpse of the circular beams that will provide much of the structural support for the Galaxarian presentation room, which also, funnily enough, has been hidden recently by the exterior work continuing on the distinctive angular entrance design for this attraction. And on top of all of that, Disney has also released this image of a physical set piece, most likely installed at the beginning of the attraction inside what looks to be the Universe of Energy building. However, all of this construction may not mean nearly as much without some additional context, so therefore that brings us to the supposed layout for this attraction. As what's visible in this incredibly perplexing intertwined spaghetti noodle track is actually only around 30% of the massive show building. And the way I know that is through some good old-fashioned detective work. As you see, when the building was being constructed, we saw the exterior panels being installed onto these steel crossbeams, which are the same steel crossbeams that we can see in this photo. And so from the outside, we know that the building consists of 6 panels wide by 10 panels long, whereas on the inside image, we can identify 3 panels at the far end and around 6 panels along the side. So if we combine that information with the measurement information from Google Earth of the base of the building, that approximately gives us a surface area of 71,300 square feet in total. Then by using the number of visible panels to divide the width by the length, thus giving us the answer that we're only seeing around 30% of the building in the image. And an additional piece of information that helps corroborate this is that Disney has stated that the building can hold a volume of 4 times Spaceship Earth's volume, which is completely true. If you multiply the surface area of the base of the foundations by 10 stories tall, or 130. So now that we've established that we're only seeing 30% of the building, let's dive into the overall layout. As way back in January of 2020, when I covered this attraction last, I showed this rough estimation of what the track layout would be. And as I said at the time, it was only an approximation of the layout, as it's very difficult to illustrate the dimensionality of layered and intertwined track from a 2D top-down perspective. But now, using this image, I've been able to update the layout to be a lot more accurate, with this being the track layout for the 30% of the building that we can see in the image. And here is the rest of the building's approximate track layout based off previous insider information. However, it is still only a vague approximation, as it's very difficult to reconstruct a complex layout of a roller coaster track from memory. But even then, if we zoom out, here is an overall view of what the core layout of the entirety of the attraction will be. From the entrance to the Galaxarian presentation room, to the queue area, to the pre-shows and the load and unload areas, and of course the roller coaster track as well. But the one thing that I can't specify at this time is whether the track is in the correct order or whether it goes in the opposite direction. As despite knowing that it will feature a reverse launch, we don't know whether it will be at the beginning or the end. And we also don't know which side of the track along the connection tunnel is going to be entering the massive show building, and which side is going to be returning back to the beginning of the attraction. And so lastly, we come to the question of when will Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind open? And well, the answer has been the same for quite a while now, as it was rumoured before the pandemic that it could possibly open in late 2021. However, given the park closure last year and the subsequent slowdown in construction, this project is now aiming at a mid-2022 date for its completion, with the thinking being that it will still be able to be marketed as part of Walt Disney World's 50th celebration that will begin in the fall and continue throughout 2022. And also Cosmic Rewind will be able to be used to mark Epcot's 40th anniversary on October 1st, 2022. So Disney will be able to get double marketing impact from this major attraction opening. And in addition to all of this, much like Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, we know that the cast of the Guardians of the Galaxy will be returning and reprising their roles for some filming of the many scenes and vignettes throughout the ride, from the pre-show to the beginning launch and numerous times within the building as part of the projection screens and domes. And similar to the filming that was done for Mission Breakout, Imagineering was hoping to get the filming completed during the production of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. However, that movie has now been pushed back to 2023 instead. So as Chris Pratt recently revealed that he and the other members of the Guardians of the Galaxy would be flying to Australia to begin filming their scenes for the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder movie, it's logical to assume that Marvel and Imagineering will most likely be using that production to film all of the necessary media for the ride, with it to be ready for 2022. And so that's absolutely everything that we know so far about this historic and groundbreaking attraction. But rest assured, as we learn more details about the attraction, from the pre-shows to the technology to the exact track layout and any other construction updates, I'll be sure to come back and cover it all here on DSNY Newscast. But now, it's over to you, Waltineers. I would like to know, what are your thoughts and opinions about this Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind roller coaster coming to Epcot, and what would you like to see within this attraction to make it even more special? And of course, don't forget to put the timestamp for where the hidden Mickey appeared somewhere in today's video, along with your suggestion or your comment, to be in the chance to win one of these official DSNY Newscast enamel pins. And congratulations to this Waltineer here for winning this suggestion from the previous video, where we were discussing the Jungle Cruise revamp news. And so that's it for today, so be sure to go go ahead and subscribe down below if you're new to this channel. Hit that notification bell so that you always receive an update. And also, if you've enjoyed today's video, then be sure to give this video a massive thumbs up, as it really does help this channel out. And I've been Jack, you've been you, and I'll see you real soon.